It is a privilege to be a part of tonight's ceremony and to present Butch Santosuosso, Stonehill class of 1990, for induction to the Stonehill Athletic Hall of Fame. Butch is just the second ice hockey student athlete to be inducted into the Hall of Fame after a record-breaking career at Stonehill during the late 1980s. He helped lead Stonehill to 39 wins over his 4 years, including the team's first postseason appearance in 1990 with a berth in the ECAC Championship his senior year. He is one of the first 100-point scorers in program history and one of 11 all-time to reach the plateau. He still ranks 5th on Stonehill's career scoring list while ranking 4th in career goals and 5th in career assists. Santosuosso's 48 points his senior year helped lead the team to a 14-12 record and a spot in the ECAC Championship. The point total still ranks tied for 3rd in program history after standing as a program record at the time. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for induction into the Stonehill Athletic Hall of Fame from the class of 1990, Butch Santosuosso.
Jamal, by the way, I agree with you about the hair comment. It's been a long time ago since I had that. Wish I still did. First of all, thank you very much for that incredible introduction. Very much appreciated. I'm definitely flattered beyond all words. In addition, I had no idea that the current hockey team was going to be here tonight, and I want to just say a great thank you to all of you guys back there. It's truly an honor to have you guys here tonight. Thank you, and I wish you the best of luck in your season this year. I'm never good with these things. So it's a great honor to be here tonight, and I'm definitely incredibly grateful to be inducted into Stonehill's Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank Dean O'Keefe and the selection committee for selecting me as a representative of this year's Hall of Fame class. As I mentioned before, it's truly an honor. I'd also like to take a minute to thank, and actually to recognize, the other inductees tonight. The women's soccer team from 1999, Ed, Jamal, Carissa, and Junior. While I never got the opportunity to see any of you play, I'm sure it would have been incredible, and I'm honored to share the spotlight with you all tonight. All right, so this is my first and definitely going to be my last Hall of Fame speech ever. So I have 2 goals. I'll try and keep it relatively brief, and I'll try to do my best. So here goes. So, and I wrote this, and I'm going to read it, so I'll try and do my best. So like most athletes, I took to sports at a very young age. You could always find me playing sports with my brother and the rest of the neighborhood kids. Anywhere. The street, the driveway, the backyard, the park around the corner, anywhere. If it was daylight, we were playing. I was a very competitive person, and I loved to win. Just ask my family, and they'll tell you that I'm a win-at-all-costs player, to the point that they've even accused me of cheating in family games of Uno and Pictionary, just to ensure that I was victorious. For the record, I usually do win, and they can't prove anything. But on a serious note, I was a very hard-working athlete. I had a huge passion for sports, especially hockey. Like most young athletes, I dreamt of being a professional, and I really wanted to make it into the NHL. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but I gave it my all along the way. I played hard in both the offensive and defensive zones of the ice, and I was never afraid to go into the ugly areas. As you can see by those pictures up there and by my presence on the stage, that I wasn't the biggest guy in the world. But I never let that stop me. I played with intensity, heart, drive, and passion, which allowed me to overcome adversity and be successful on the ice. I look back now and I fondly remember how great it felt when I was being recruited. To know that the coach from Stonehill was in the stands watching me play my high school games, and the enjoyment I got of reading his letters, complimenting my play, and expressing his desire to have me come play at Stonehill. It was a great feeling for a 17-year-old kid. I was fortunate. I got to see my efforts pay off, allowing me to play at Stonehill with some great teammates and some very great friends. Unfortunately, I moved away from the New England area just a few short years after I graduated, and eventually lost touch with most of the guys I spent so many hours, days, and years with, on and off the ice. But I'm sure if I ran into those guys today, it would seem as if time had barely passed. We were a tight-knit group, on and off the ice, and we always had a great time. Not to mention, we threw the best parties on campus, and everyone was at the hockey house after home games. While hockey was a major part of my life at Stonehill, my education was the real reason why I was here. Stonehill offered me the chance to excel not only as an athlete, but as a student as well. I'm grateful for the 4 years that I spent here and the education that I received. Upon graduation from Stonehill, I was prepared to take on the world. Stonehill's excellent academic reputation spans far and wide, and I'm very proud of my Stonehill degree. So let's switch gears. Rather than celebrating my accomplishments, I prefer to really reach out to and just say thank you to the people who've been most influential in my successes. First, and I mean that beyond just my years at Stonehill, by the way, but I'd first like to start with my 3 children. I have 2 21-year-old boys, Jack and Brian, or soon-to-be 21-year-old boys, I should say, Jack and Brian, and a 23-year-old daughter, Judah, who inspire me every day. Unfortunately, Brian and Julia couldn't be here tonight due to conflicts with their schools in Miami and Philadelphia, but they are surely missed here tonight. Jack, thank you for being here, pal. My 2 boys have followed in my footsteps and have taken to the ice like fish out of water. They've excelled at all levels and finished their high school years as co-captains on their varsity hockey team. They are excellent hockey players, and you can only imagine how much I truly enjoy watching them play. I couldn't be any prouder. While Julia was not quite the athlete that her brothers were, she excelled in so many other areas. She's an incredible young woman, an academic scholar, and she's the sweetest young lady you're ever going to meet. Once again, as a dad, I couldn't be any prouder. Like all parents, we want nothing but the very best for our kids. We do everything in our power to provide the best life for them that we possibly can, and we constantly strive to be the role models and set the perfect example for them to follow. My kids inspire me every day to be the best father that I can be. Next, I'd like to thank my mom and my dad, Mary and Richard. I'm not sure they want to take credit for it, but they are the reason I am who I am today. They instilled virtues and morals in me from day one. They were 2 dedicated and committed parents who put their children first and above all other priorities. They taught me how to appreciate all that life had to offer. They always told me that I could achieve anything I wanted as long as I put my mind to it and worked hard to achieve it. I guess they were right on most accounts, except for that NHL thing. Thanks. I was born into a hockey family. My parents had season's tickets to the Bruins, and I loved going to the games. Hockey quickly became part of my DNA. I started playing youth hockey when I was about 7 or 8 years old. And for those who don't know anything about youth hockey, that means games were played in freezing cold rinks starting at about 6:30 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And that runs actually pretty much every week through September to March. It takes very committed parents to subject themselves to that kind of torture. My mom and dad were there every week, and it didn't stop there. My parents watched me play pretty much every college game I ever played. That's right, home and away. They were all over New England, including weeknights. It was an incredible feeling to suit up for a game, whether it be in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Vermont, or Maine, and to look up into the crowd and see your parents there before the game started. They were always there watching and supporting me and my teammates. You guys are incredible, thank you. Next, I'd like to thank my brother. My brother Paul and I were very close growing up. He was 2 years younger than I was, so we never got to play on the same youth teams. But we finally got to suit up together in high school, with the highlight of our career being when we got to play in Boston Garden in the state championship semifinals. That was a thrill of a lifetime. Paul and I got to play together for only 2 years in high school before I graduated and moved on to Stonehill. But I would often go home and see him play. He was a hard-working, tough, physical player with a heavy shot. He was fun to watch. In addition to Paul's skills as a hockey player, he also excelled on the football field and was recruited to play football in college. In both sports, Paul was a very unselfish player who always put others on the team ahead of his own personal accomplishments. A perfect example of this is when Paul decided to forego his opportunity to play football in college and chose to come here to Stonehill and play hockey with me as well for 2 more years. I'm glad he did. Those years were great. And I don't think, those years were great. I don't think the guys from Nichols College would agree though, Paul, that night that we lit him up for 9 points between the 2 of us. It was a fun night. It really was. Jody, thank you for being here tonight. Paul's wife, Jody, she unfortunately never really had the chance to see me play, but I know she has a lot of respect for my knowledge of the game, and she always appreciates when I provide tips and pointers for her son, who's evolving into an incredible hockey player himself. I'd also like to thank my sisters, Karen, Donna, and my brother-in-law, Mike. My sisters had a really nice role in my accomplishments as well. As members of a 4-child family, they would drive from sporting event to sporting event. So whether they wanted to be there or not, my sisters went to so many of my games over the years and cheered me on with all their hearts. There were no cell phones, portable video games back then, so they were forced to watch. But in all seriousness, my sisters were great supporters. Karen, Donna, and her husband Mike would frequently attend my games at Stonehill. And it always felt good to have the comfort of my family, their support, and their encouragement. As a side note, I think my sister Karen would probably like to take more credit for my shooting skills. When Paul and I were kids working on our shots in the driveway, Karen would always annoyingly ask, "Can I play?" I know you're over there somewhere, Karen. Oh, well, you're over there, I'm sorry. She'd always annoyingly ask if she could play, and we'd say, "Fine, you can play, get in net, you're the goalie." Those shooting sessions didn't usually last very long for her. Lastly, I'd like to thank Coach Muzzioli. I had the good fortune of playing for Muzzy all the way through high school. And then again, he came back here and coached me and my brother in my senior year here at Stonehill. Muzzy was one of the toughest and most demanding coaches I have ever played for. But he was exactly the kind of coach I needed, and I loved playing for him. He pushed me harder than I've ever been pushed on any playing field. And he never allowed me or my teammates to sit back and be satisfied. Similar to Bill Belichick's style, he believed that you could always be better, work harder, and push yourself to new heights. He never let us be satisfied with what we achieved yesterday, because yesterday is gone. In fact, one of his famous sayings, or infamous sayings, was that you can't live in yesterday's sweat. I remember one day, as a matter of fact, at practice, it was the day after a night game, which we won, by the way. Coach came out on the ice without any pucks, and he proceeded to work on us on nothing but conditioning. Now, granted, this was back in the days when you could work the crap out of everybody, but he skated us for about an hour. And as I stood there on the goal line, huffing and puffing, waiting for him to blow the whistle to start our next sprint, in between gasps of breath, I looked up at him and I said, "Hey, Coach," I said, "You do know we won last night, right?" He looked back at me and he said, "Yup." Then he blew his whistle and sprinted us off again. Muzzy's style, paired with my own personal desire to always be the very best, helped me to overcome all obstacles and accomplish things that no one other than myself probably thought were achievable. I don't think I would have ever become the hockey player I was if it wasn't for Muzzy. Thanks, Coach. Obviously, all of the people I've recognized tonight have been extremely instrumental in the developments that I've reached and my accomplishments. I truly appreciate everything you guys have done for me, and I love you all very much. I thank you for being here tonight, and your checks are in the mail. In closing, I would like to once again thank Dean O'Keefe, the selection committee, Colleen Ford, and the Stonehill community for their support for this incredible night and the distinct honor of being inducted into Stonehill's Hall of Fame. I really am humbled, and I'm honored. Thank you.